All right, everybody. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Still in that 48-hour period after a Seahawks win. Life is good. We're feeling just a little bit more optimistic about the team. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the young players on the team. We're doing Youth Watch Tuesday. You guys know the drill by now. We basically talk about any player that has a rookie contract or rough equivalent on the team. Real quick, before we get into it, though, I want to remind everybody that I am going to be streaming with the Hawks Nest in a few hours. We're going to talk about the Panthers game that was, and then we're going to talk about the 49ers game that hopefully will be on Saturday. So we're going a little bit early this week, I know. Usually we go on Thursday, but this week we're going early because we have a little bit of a condensed schedule and also because we don't want to go on the holiday of New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So remember, show is today. All right, guys, let's take a minute so I can tell you about Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat on sports games in real time with other users. You can get the fastest scores, blazing fast sports news and sports alerts right at your fingertips. And of course, you can use Sleeper to play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. This is the way sports were meant to be enjoyed together. So download Sleeper today. Use promo code SBN to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And you can pair that with another promo they have right now where you can get a $20 entry free with no deposit required. So get both of those things going. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. So check out Sleeper today. Get to it and go have some fun with sports this year. Okay, so Youth Watch Tuesday. We don't have to talk about Milroe because he did not play yet again, so nothing to say here. Plenty to say here with the running backs, however. Not a great day for Ken Walker. He had a fumble, wasn't all that productive. Definitely a letdown after his monster performance against the Rams. Still well on track to have his most productive year of his career. Assuming that he does play and play even moderately well against the 49ers, which I think is a reasonable expectation. He's going to go well over 1,200 yards. He's going to have his best ever yards per touch season. PFF grade still really good, even though it kind of went in the tank after this last game, to be perfectly honest. He's now actually behind Zach Charbonnet, although both guys have very, very good grades. So still having a very nice season. And Zach Charbonnet, of course, best game of his year. Up to almost 800 yards from scrimmage after that one. 11 touchdowns, which is not nothing, by the way. 11 touchdowns in a season is something that we haven't done for a running back since Marshawn Lynch. So it's been over a decade since we've had a running back do this. And if he has a high volume day against the Niners, which is possible, he was our better running back against the Niners back in week 1. He might end up with about 200 touches on the year. The efficiency won't be great. It won't be anywhere close to where Walker is, but it'll still be fine. And he has his own role to play. And right now he actually has a higher Pro Football Focus grade by 0.2, but that is a big turnaround from where we were at one point this season where he was one of the least efficient running backs in football. I still believe that Walker is the better of the two running backs, but it is worth noting that Charbonnet provides something very valuable here. Robbie Oots actually had one of his best PFF grades yet. It's still overall not over a 50, but there's some signs that things are getting a little bit better here. I still don't know if Robbie Oots can really help move the needle for this team, but it certainly was a step in the right direction at least, so I'll take what I can get at this point. It's not surprising that his rookie year has been a disappointment when he's kind of sort of changing positions. Remember, he played a good amount of tight end in college when he did play. So a transitionary period for him was not a surprise. Okay, receivers, JSN, decent game, not one of his best games, but you look at the numbers here, and this is something that's getting kind of lost. Everyone's talking about the single season receiving record, which at this point, he's almost certainly not going to get. But if you combine his rushing and receiving, he's like 220 yards away from the single season record for a receiver for all-purpose yards. Not all-purpose, but yards from scrimmage. A monster game, and he's had a game like that before against the Rams last year. He could do it. I mean, it is on the table. It's not completely unrealistic. It's going to take a lot, though. And in fairness, I will say, we don't have a lot of receiving options for this upcoming game. So he's going to have to do a lot in all likelihood. It's him, it's Barner, and it's Cup. And Cup doesn't have a lot left in the tank at this point. So still a phenomenal season, 92.8 PFF grade. Can't say anything bad about him. 120 touches. He's almost certainly going to end up with at least 1,800 yards. And 1,900 is reasonable. And given how little we throw the ball, I mean, that is a great accomplishment. Horton did not play. Bobo played a little bit, not much to report. AJ Barner up over 50 catches now, and he's got the 10 barn yards, which have been almost all effective, by the way. Over 500 yards receiving, also has, I think, 14 yards rushing on the barn yards, 7 total touchdowns. Really good sophomore year for him, and we've needed it because of what we're not getting out of Arroyo. So this is something to be really optimistic about. I'm going to have an article go live later on SI about AJ Barner. He is surprisingly close to becoming the best tight end in Seahawks franchise history within the next couple of years. It's not that difficult of a thing to do because Seattle is not a tight end rich does not have a tight end rich history, but a 500-yard season with 50 catches and 6 receiving touchdowns, that's going to actually kind of go down in history for the Seahawks franchise, believe it or not. Offensive line, not much to report. Cross didn't play. Zabel was well graded. Didn't give up anything in terms of like numbers. I wasn't quite so impressed. I will have to admit, I do think he's hitting a little bit of a rookie wall, but it's not surprising even if he is. It's not a big deal. It's not a criticism of him. The rookie wall comes for most players. Sundell was graded very well in that game, and he actually played noticeably well. We do have an interesting decision to make on him in the offseason. At this point, it will not surprise me if this team decides to just kind of ride it out with Sundell as the center next year. If they decide they'd rather upgrade Bradford. Speaking of which, Bradford, I mean, not anything we're unused to, I guess. He had a pressure allowed. I think it was a QB hit actually, graded pretty poorly. So the interior, it is a problem, and there's no getting away from it this year, guys. We're just going to have to find a way to win with an interior offensive line that is not that good. And it's understandable. You can't fix all your problems in one off season when you have a lot of problems, but it is going to be an obstacle to overcome. Okay, that's the offense. Jumping over to the defense now. Murphy didn't put up any really big stats in this game. Had like 1 tackle. I thought he played good. PFF did not. They gave him like a 60. I don't get it. Mike Morris, on the other hand, though, well graded. Picked up a tackle for loss and actually provided some pretty high quality snaps. Always welcome to see from a guy who is maybe playing for his future in Seattle next year, because next year, last year of his rookie deal, the money kicks up a little bit and we have a decision to make. So good to see there. I believe Tyrese Knight picked up a tackle in this game. I believe it was on special teams. So not much to report there. I know he played a couple of snaps on defense, but it was garbage time. I think it was for kneel downs only. Drake Thomas, rough game for him. You are starting to see some of the weaknesses of Drake Thomas show up. At the end of the day, he is a very aggressive player, and that worked very well for him for a while, but I think you're starting to see the other end of that where he's biting really hard on these fakes and play actions. And I don't know. I mean, I still think that he's well worth the money we're paying him, and I know he's restricted next year. I'd like to bring him back. but you are starting to see some of the shortcomings here. I think he had 5 tackles in this game. I think he missed at least 1 tackle. I believe he was involved in the Bryce Young rushing touchdown where he overran the play. And look, we're still getting a nice player here for a very, very reasonable cost, but be careful with making him the long-term solution here is what I'm going to say. Boye Mafe, one of his best games of the season in limited snaps. He had a sack. He had 4 pressures. He had 2 tackles. 68.2 PFF grade now, so workable. Definitely playable. Probably playing in his last handful of games as a Seahawk now, so let's see what we can get out of him while he's here. We needed him in that game as well because Derek Hall was out, so nothing to report on Derek Hall, but Mafe, pretty good. Like it. I don't know how much he's going to play going forward. It seems like Seattle has decided he's kind of the odd man out, but I think a team like this kind of needs 4 edge rushers to play at least some. I don't think you can just give 80% of the snaps to DeMarcus Lawrence and think that's going to work. And I also don't know if giving Mike Morris non-trivial snaps is a good idea either. Cornerback, there's not really much to report. Reek Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, they both picked up a couple of tackles each, but Bryce Young did not challenge us downfield at all. There was like one play where he went kind of sort of deep to Tet McMillan, and it was incomplete. Witherspoon had a pass breakup, but other than that, there's really not much to say. PFF didn't really like either guy's game. So without looking at the all-22, which I don't have right now, I'm guessing that they were very aggressive, trusting that Carolina was not really going to push it down the field, and they won that battle, but maybe there were players running open. I don't know. Hard to say without having a full slate of tape to look at. Pritchett played a little bit in garbage time, but there was really not much to say. Kobe Bryant missed the game, of course. Nick Emanwari made some nice plays in that game. He also had some bad plays. So mixed bag, 3 tackles. Nothing over the top crazy with him, but still really like what he's offering this defense. That play he made on the fly sweep was great. Not very many players in this league who can do that. PFF grade hovering around a 70. I mean, I'm good with it, people. He's 21 years old. He had 3 years as a starter in college. He is well ahead of schedule still. All right, so that's it for your Youth Watch Tuesday. Let me know what you guys think. Nothing too remarkable other than Charbonnet this week, admittedly. Definitely a week where it's just kind of like you're chugging through. But hey, that was a very important game for Charbonnet. That was probably the best game he's had. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Streaming in a few hours. More videos soon.